Kevin or Brick Ninja here, and today we're going to take a look at one of my favorite photography techniques. This is something that I have seen a few other people use, but I haven't really seen many people talk about it, and this has saved me hours and hours in Photoshop, so this is a great tip. Today's example is going to be this build done by myself and Joe. It was a collaborative project that was part of the Rebel Lug Kingdoms at War 2. I built the foreground with the bridge and the fortress, and Joe built the background with the temple. Now, these builds were not together. We had to compile them into one entry, and that requires a lot of Photoshop work. Or, does it really require a whole lot of Photoshop work? Because why try to go through the process of cutting out the edges of every little piece when you can just put the other picture up on a TV and take the photo and be done? Okay, it's not quite that simple, but this is a technique that I came up with about a little over a year ago, and I've seen a few other people who have come up with the same technique, but I honestly have not seen people talking about it too much. So I'm going to talk about it, give you the pros and the cons, and some of the things to look out for if you want to do this. So first and foremost, obviously Photoshop was used on the background, Photoshop was used in the other photos, and ironically, despite this video, the main photo that was released was compiled using Photoshop, and I'm going to get into why we used Photoshop on that one but didn't use Photoshop on any of the others. So the advantages are generally pretty clear and obvious. You spend a lot less time in Photoshop, which can be very monotonous and time consuming. However, as a trade-off, you do spend a lot more time setting up the shot and the lighting and taking the photos. The clear advantage, in my opinion, though, besides the time saved, which is substantial in my opinion, is the more realistic lighting. We'll take a look at this close-up shot here, and you can see the sky reflecting off of the top of the gate. That's something that obviously can be done in Photoshop, but it's going to take a lot of time, and I don't know if I would have spent the time. I may not have even thought of it. I probably would have thought about it on this one just because it's such a long, continuous reflection, but small little tiny ones, you just don't think about it, and you end up getting a white reflection, which isn't bad per se, and works in a lot of cases, but when you can get just a little bit more realistic on the lighting, it really helps. Those are the two primary advantages for me, the amount of time that you save and the added realistic lighting. The disadvantages is, while you do save a lot of time in Photoshop, you do also add time while you're taking the photo beforehand, though in most cases it's notably less than what I would spend in Photoshop. Again, depending upon how many photos you're taking. If it was not for this TV technique, for this collaborative project, I would have released one, maybe up to 3 photos, but it just takes so much time to splice in the background. A lot of the extra side photos either would not have happened, or they would have been significantly closer where you wouldn't have been able to see the background, or you wouldn't have been able to see part of Joe's build in the background, and it would have been a little bit less immersive. But this allows you to take some photos very quick, very easy. Now, I mentioned that the primary photo that we released was not done with the TV technique, and there are a couple of reasons for that. One is, when you have the TV in focus, the camera will show every pixel. For whatever reason, the human eye can't pick it up, but the camera can pick it up, and once the camera picks it up, then you can totally see with your eyes, and you get these wavy lines, and you can see colors weird, and you can see the lines between the pixels, and it looks terrible. So you can't have the TV in focus, which normally is fine if you're just doing like a sky behind something, but doesn't work when you've got a Lego build sitting on the TV and legit like the main focus, like right there, dead center of the photo. So that resulted in us having to use Photoshop. That was one of the main reasons. The other being the fact that to avoid having the TV screen in focus, you have to have a gap between the build and the TV, just so that that will be out of focus based off the depth of field. And when that happened, my build, although it's less than, I have a 65-inch TV, and my build is a little bit over 50 inches, so it's pushing the width of the TV already. And by the time I push it forward, I was losing about 10 inches of my build off the side. So I wasn't really able to do a full photo of everything while keeping the TV in the correct spot. Now, on the other hand, where I've got the close-up shots, easy done. Like, some of those don't have any or practically no Photoshop work. It's just a little bit of adjustment here or there. So, definitely a number of advantages there. The other primary issue that you can have is lighting. That is because the TV is shining light at the camera. If you don't light up the front of the build, you're going to basically get a silhouette. So you have to light up the front of the build, and you have to light it up more than what the TV's lighting it. And so there's a few different things you have to do. First off, I've got a couple of really powerful lights set up. Secondly, I have my TV set down to pretty much the lowest on the backlighting, pretty much the lowest on the brightness. I also have to adjust the color. When you take a photo of the TV, or at least my TV, it shows up with more of a blue hue. So I have stripped away almost all of the blue tint and really bumped up the red so that when I take the photo, it's closer to what it should be. Occasionally, you can still have some stuff that's a little bit off there. But the other issue you have is going to be, because you have to have lights in front, a lot of times you'll end up with reflections on the TV. So if I turn on this other light over here, you can see a reflection right here on the screen. Yes, like, don't be distracted by the front of the build changing, but you can see, like, right behind the tower right there, you can see a glare that hits on the TV screen. And it becomes a challenge to get everything set up with bright lights and yet not having glares or not having noticeable glares. Sometimes you can go through and Photoshop those out, but honestly, they can be really hard to Photoshop out because a lot of TVs will disperse a glare over a large area, and it just becomes a challenge. So the lighting can be a major challenge, the focus on the TV can be a challenge, and the size constraint could potentially be a challenge. Obviously, the size is going to be highly dependent upon your size of TV, your room, all that type of stuff. But there's so many ways where this has vastly helped me out, or given me the option of, oh, I can just snap a photo and see if I like this, where before it was take a photo, painfully go through and cut out all the stuff, put in the backdrop, adjust it and go, I actually don't really like this that much, and sometimes you just throw hours out of the window right there. So it definitely has some major advantages. It also very realistically has some good challenges, and it doesn't work in every situation, but particularly if you're just adding in a background sky or something like that there, it can really help a lot. So So this has been a great lifesaver for myself whenever I'm doing fully immersive shots. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and hopefully you get some good inspiration or some good ideas on how you could use it. There's lots of different ways that you can adjust it for whatever your project is. But until next time, Brick Ninja out.